In Baltimore, Maryland, this city has long been a hotbed of college lacrosse, and it is literally a hotbed today. It is a sweltering 96 degrees with high humidity, but a big crowd is still filing in to watch the national championship game, an all ACC battle between unseeded Maryland and the number 7 seed, the Virginia Cavaliers. Both teams had a relatively easy go of it in Saturday's semifinals. The Cavs led Denver by as many as 10 goals. They cruised to a 14-8 victory, while Maryland was in control virtually throughout in the Terps' 9-4 win over Duke. Dom Starsia is the coach at Virginia today, looking for his 4th national title. A moment ago, he addressed his team.
Everybody's got to prepare as if their role is the most important one. It's going to be the one that makes the difference in this game. That's what we got to have right there. We only do this if we do it together, as a group. This is where we wanted to be. It's coming up just the way we want it to be right there. A little smile on your face, a little joy in your heart, from knowing that you're prepared and you paid the price. Move yourself without it on offense. Clear the space so you clear your hands every time. Hey, why not us? Let's do this. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, baby!
And welcome everybody to the national championship game. I'm Sean McDonough along with Quint Kesenick. Dom Starsia told us yesterday when we talked about having that camera in his locker room, I'm not exactly a big Newt Rockney rah-rah speech kind of guy. I think he undersold himself a little bit there. But he did address at the top of the telecast, Quint, a story about his team for the year. When you began this lacrosse season and you thought that Virginia and Maryland might be in the national championship game, that was quite realistic. As the season went along, maybe not so much.
Yeah, Coach Starsia told us it's been a wild ride, a tumultuous season. You know, along the way, they lost 3 key personnel to injuries and suspensions. They've had to make over the way they play both offense and defense. Meanwhile, Maryland, veteran team, dealing with a new coach. Their best player lost his mom this spring. Both teams overcoming adversity both on and off the field this spring.
And both teams surviving some close calls during this NCAA tournament. In the case of Virginia, they opened at home against Bucknell and trailed by 3 goals in the 4th quarter, but rallied to beat Bucknell.
Steele Stanwick had a hand in 6 of the last 7 goals. We go to overtime, and Matt White survive and advance at home. The Cavaliers pull off the comeback.
Maryland, an unseeded team. They had a very tough draw in round 1, had to win at North Carolina. Then they took on the number 1 seed in the tournament, Syracuse, and Grant Catalino's goal, one of the biggest in school history, ousted the Orange.
And it's a senior class that had never played in championship weekend at that point. So that was a major hurdle for that class to overcome.
And in the case of the Maryland Terrapins, they are trying to win the first national championship for their school in 36 years. Let's take a look now at today's Warrior Impact players.
Well, Virginia's offense is all about Steele Stanwick, especially in the last quarter of the season. This kid is functionally fast, tremendous skills. He's got the smooth hands, the vision, and the nifty feet. His fellow captain, John Haldy, says he is the Peyton Manning of lacrosse with his diagnostic abilities. Maryland's all about Ryan Young. He's the heartbeat of this Terrapin team. Speed is his signature, tremendous catalyst and a gifted passer. It is Maryland who defines this Maryland team, though, in terms of his work ethic and his intensity.
They are the leading scorers on their respective teams, and Steele Stanwick has had a tremendous NCAA tournament. In their 3 wins heretofore, he has 20 points. He has 37 assists for the year, 3rd in the country. On this Memorial Day, time for our national anthem. Here's public address announcer Chris Ely.
At this time, we ask that you please stand and please remove your caps. Please join us as we honor our nation with the presentation of colors by the Maryland National Guard Joint Forces Color Guard. And now, please welcome Michelle Miller.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
May God bless all of the men and women who have served this country so valiantly throughout our glorious history. Let's send you down to the field now and welcome in Eamon McEnany.
Sean, Ryan Young is the emotional leader of this Maryland team, but this year he needed the emotional support of his teammates as his mother Maria passed away on April 17th after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. Now, to a man, the Terrapins will tell you that Mrs. Young's fight against the disease provided them with a source of inspiration. And before the season, Mrs. Young asked head coach John Tillman to promise her three things. One, that Ryan would graduate, and that Maryland would win the ACC championship and the national championship. Well, Sean, Ryan Young is on schedule to graduate this summer. The Terps won the ACC title last month, and now they're one game away from giving Mrs. Young all three things she asked for.
And Maria Young remains very much in the hearts and on the minds of the Maryland players and coaches. Coach John Tillman again today wearing the purple shirt to call attention to the fight against pancreatic cancer. The players wearing Mrs. Young's initials on their helmets. In the semifinals, Ryan Young's team beat Duke. His brother Kevin, a member of that Duke team. Virginia taking the field dressed in white with the orange shorts, blue helmets for Dom Starsia. Described the season as a wild ride. He said, I can't even believe we beat Cornell in Denver. So yes, he is surprised that his team is playing for a national title against John Tillman at age 41 in his first season taking over this proud Maryland program. He has them on the brink of the first national championship for Maryland since 1975. They won 2 titles in the earliest days of this 41-year-old NCAA tournament back in 73 and 75. And Terp Nation is ready for another celebration of the ultimate in college lacrosse. The officials are Tom Sutton, Doug Donovan, and Dave Pinciaro. It is approximately 120 degrees on this field turf at M&T Bank Stadium, the home of the Baltimore Ravens. So fatigue could be a factor. Both teams played on Saturday. It's rare in college lacrosse to play 2 games in 3 days. Face-offs always the key. Maryland should have the edge in that category. Curtis Holmes, one of the best in the country at 63%. Called for a violation right off the opening face-off against Virginia's Garrett Ince. Virginia's only 50% for the year on face-offs.
Both teams will be extremely amped up early, especially Maryland with this contingent of fans in red. Got a huge ovation when they came out of the locker room. Play within yourself in the first 5 minutes. Get that first touch or the first hit and move on.
Virginia has welcomed back Colin Briggs, one of their best midfielders, did not play. Coach's decision Saturday. He has been reinstated for the game today. Did not start the game. John Halvey, one of the captains, playing in his final game at Virginia. Senior from Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. And now the All-American Stanwyck. He is the only first-team All-American on either one of these teams. Maryland trying to defeat history there as well. There's never been a team that has won the national championship without at least one first-team All-American. Nick O'Reilly. Sophomore spun toward the net. Nico Amato was outstanding in the win against Duke, held his ground. Maryland clears. It's Dan Burns. In the goal today, the redshirt freshman from Conshohocken, Pennsylvania for Maryland, Nico Amato, 4-year starter in net for Virginia. Adam Gittleman with 49 career wins. That's 3rd all-time in college lacrosse. in this tournament. Maryland has been very patient, long possessions on offense, frequently drawing stall warnings from the officials. John Haas.
Terps love to push transition, but as you said, Sean, when it's not there, they are ultra conservative. They'll grind out a 2 or 3 minute possession.
Jake Bernhardt has a brother on this team. Jake's a junior. Now Drew Snyder. His dad was a great All-American player at Virginia. Won a All-American honor back in 1978 as a team captain for Jim Adams.
Virginia opens up this game in a man-to-man defense. You'll see both a zone and a man.
Now Ryan Young held to just 1 assist by Duke on Saturday. Haas out in front, and Grant Catalino scores. Great start for Tillman and the Terps. Maryland's leading goal scorer, Grant Catalino, a senior from Webster, New York, with his 30th of the year.
Let it roll here. Let's see how this play develops. Catalino just comes off a curl inside. And in terms of being an off-ball defender inside, you've got to find big number 1. That's his spot. He loves to be a wing shooter, both on the right and left-handed wing. He had the game winner against Syracuse in the quarterfinals. This time, changing it up. A high release to a low location, and he kind of buckled the knees of goalie Adam Gittleman.
All right, man, here we go.
He's been great in their big games this year. Ince
Set.
again on the face-off of Curtis Holmes. Officials calling it very tightly in the X. This time a violation against Ince of Virginia to give the possession for Maryland. Catalino had 3 goals in their ACC title win against Duke. Had 3 more goals against Duke here Saturday night. Had the game winner against Syracuse in the quarterfinals after Maryland had been stopped in the quarterfinals in each of the last 3 NCAA tournaments. And now Catalino has the first goal this afternoon.
And now we see Virginia's zone defense. Basically like a 3-3 zone, similar to a basketball 2-3 zone.
They went to that zone in mid-season due to injuries on defense, particularly to Matt Lovejoy, a great defender. They had to change things up in the back. Maryland a bit more aggressive offensively this time, not holding the ball quite as long before attacking. Scott LaRue ran it down back near midfield. 3.5 minutes played. What are the keys for Maryland today?
Well, zone offense is the first key, and that starts with Ryan Young behind the goal. Some great wing shooters and Grant Catalino.
Long
Travis
shot
Reed.
stopped by Gittleman by Scott LaRue.
Second key for the Terps, defensively, you got to limit Steele Stanwyck. No question there. He's been involved in about 50% of the Terps goals, of Virginia's goals in the NCAA tournament.
Wyatt Meltzer helps set up the offense and now heads off. There's Colin Briggs, who just passed it to Stanwyck. Briggs seeing his first action of this Final Four after sitting out for disciplinary reasons unspecified by Coach Starja on Saturday. And there are a lot of tired bodies on these 2 teams. Briggs might have an advantage later on. Mark Cockerton. He had a hat trick in their win over Denver. Freshman from Oshawa, Ontario. Didn't get much on the shot. Ball still loose. Swept away from the sideline by Colin Briggs. And now Cockerton behind the net. Stanwyck, Cockerton alone behind the cage. Gobbled out of the air by Chris Bachwick, their leading goal scorer. He scored in 35 straight games, and there is a flag down.
Tell you, this is a Virginia team entering this game. They are shooting in their last 4 games about 40%.
Red, 2-0, 1 minute, illegal body check.
But the challenge today for Virginia shooters is you're going to get blown up after you release the ball. You're going to pay the price against a very physical Maryland defense. What happens the next time Chris Bachler gets the ball inside? You know, the Terps, you saw it in the semifinals, they physically overwhelmed Duke.
Scott LaRue penalized for Maryland. Virginia, the best man-up team in the country, nearly 53%. Rob Emery, the freshman. Now Bachler behind the net for Stanwyck. Emery stepped into the shot, and Nico Amato to save, and then it wound up in the net. And it's waved off.
Interference with the goalie inside that cylinder. What a stop, though, by Amato, the redshirt freshman. He's got 3 already. Emery's got a cannon, 97, 98 mile an hour. He has time to look Amato down. On the left side of your screen, you see the interference with the goalie.
Virginia still a man up for 10 seconds, but it's Ryan Young just killing time in possession of the ball for Maryland. The Terps lead 1-0, nearly 6 minutes gone by in this national championship game. These two ACC rivals met once in the regular season. It was April 2nd at Virginia. Dom Starsia called it the low point of our season. Maryland won that game 12-7. And that's when Dom started to make the big changes, particularly at the defensive end. It was after that game he decided to go with largely zone defense the rest of the season. Drew Snyder weaving through traffic. Now Ryan Young.
Terps have 2 offensive players inside, Catalino and Bly, and they'll try to cut the pipes.
John Haas passed it off. A good opportunity for Jake Bernhardt, and he whistled one wide.
Virginia's zone is best when the ball's behind or up top. I think Maryland will attack mainly from the wings, from the sides.
And quick ball movement by Maryland. But an errant pass. And it's the first Maryland turnover.
Emery, the scouting report is high heat. Amato watched his tape all week. That ball's in his cross. You cannot make contact with the goalie's stick. Official right there, Doug Donovan, makes the call.
Now the Cavaliers look to clear. Rob Emery, freshman from San Francisco, California, and now Stanwyck. Stanwyck has it back from O'Reilly as we look at Quint's keys to the game for Virginia.
Yeah, fight to get to 50% on faceoffs against Curtis Holmes of Maryland, who has the edge on paper, and then shoot 33%. Cavs shooting 40% in their last 4 wins. So far 0 for 3 today.
Steele Stanwyck. Edge of the crease looking for somebody out in front. Emery had it for a moment. And it's kicked ahead by Brett Schmidt. Scooped up by Jesse Bernhardt. Bernhardt the shot. They have 20 goals from defenders this year. They are a threat. Anybody on the field, really an offensive threat for Maryland.
And Virginia stays patient in their triangle, their zone. As Bernhardt comes down, they say, you know what? We'd rather see you shoot than Grant Catalino or Ryan Young. And they kind of invited that look from the defender.
Bernhardt has scored 2 goals with the long pole this season, and Brian Farrell has 7. Kevin Cooper, sophomore from Crofton, Maryland. Nice spin move. Ryan Young. Pass was not caught by Joe Cummings. Must have just taken his eye off it. Ryan McDermott led Virginia on the clear. And now Nick O'Reilly behind the net. And they give it to Stanwyck. ACC Player of the Year. And a finalist for the Tewaaraton Trophy as the best player in the country. That'll be decided in the coming days. He's earned a stronger case for himself with his performance in this NCAA tournament. Most believe Rob Pennell of Cornell's the favorite, but Stanwyck has certainly helped his cause in the NCAA tournament.
This offensive lineup for Virginia right now is one we never got to see early in the season, obviously, with their personnel changes. Got about 5 natural attackmen on the field and only 1 midfielder. A complete makeover.
Tom Starsia, after suspending Shamel Bratton, a great midfield star, a couple of times during the year, finally dismissed him from the team in late April. His brother Ramel also not a part of the team, and they're two great midfielders. Virginia primarily a midfield generated offense. A lot of dodging and attacking the net by running by defenders. Now without the Brattons, it's in the stick of Stanwyck, a bunch. They're a patient, high percentage offensive team. Matt White, well defended out in front, and great stop by Amato on the low shot by Mark Cockerton. Fourth save already for Nico Amato. The hit, it comes to Brian Farrell. His dad was on the last Maryland team that won the national championship in 1975. Mike Farrell, a three-time All-American on defense for the Terps back in the mid-70s. Played on both of their national title teams.
See Maryland playing a little substitution game. See Farrell at the top of the box with White, 4 and White. Playing a little game right here.
And it pays off, at least to this point. Farrell's shot might have hit the pipe based on how far it ricocheted back. John Haas tracked it down. Maryland looks to attack again. They get a great shot from Jake Bernhardt and a stop by Gittleman. Both goalies sharp here in the first 10.5 minutes. The Cavs counterattack quickly, and now Stanwyck forced back behind the net by Brett Schmidt. Dom Starsia says Schmidt is a great matchup on Stanwyck. Brett Schmidt, a great defender, and Dom says particularly great feet.
Schmidt plays his angles, exceptional speed. He's smart, tremendous student, finance major with a 3.7. He said that the hardest thing about covering Stanwyck is mistakes. You make a little mistake, and he makes you pay.
Stanwyck had only 1 goal and no assists in that regular season loss against Maryland. In fairness to Steele, he had been injured 2 games before. Right foot injury, a ligament sprain, cost him 6 weeks of practice. He went 6 weeks during the year when he only played in games and did not practice. Rob Emery shoots, and what a stop by Amato. His 5th.
Virginia's getting great looks. And Amato, who rolled into this game on fire at 70% in the NCAA tournament, gets off to a terrific start. Emery's a righty, sticks up high, and Nico, the redshirt freshman, just matches up. Wide base, takeaway high, if in doubt from the inside, and he just matches up and stuffs the freshman.
Nico Amato is a freshman, but not likely to be rattled. He's a very confident young man. When he arrived last year to play for Dave Cottle, the previous head coach, the plan all the way was to redshirt Amato. They had a great goaltender in Brian Phipps. Nico Amato told Phipps when he got on campus a year ago, I am going to have your job. I'm not going to redshirt. I'm going to become the starting goalie. It didn't work out that way, but his teammates admire the confidence, which should serve him well today. Again, quick ball movement by Maryland and a good reaction by the Virginia defense. Kevin Cooper sends it back behind the cage for Young. Catalino. Scott LaRue played it off to Catalino, swept one wide.
He is a feared wing shooter, and he'll get his looks against this Virginia zone defense. Big, tall, rangy, got a long release, but he can really bring the heat.
Spotted late in the year by a broken hand. Taking down to 2 minutes left in the opening quarter of this national championship game. Maryland looking for the 3rd national championship in school history, but the first since '75. Virginia trying to win the 5th title in school history and the 4th under Dom Starsia. Kevin Cooper had a goal against Duke Saturday. Young away from that familiar spot behind the net, tried to take a shot. Got hit from behind. Cooper right out in front. And it's shot over the net by Joe Cummings, who scored 4 goals in that regular season win at Virginia.
Probing the Virginia zone. Guys stepping into seams, trying to draw 2 men. Rapid ball movement. Eventually the ball's going to get jammed inside. It's a Maryland team at times this year has struggled in their zone offense, specifically in a loss to North Carolina.
When they lost to North Carolina in the regular season, Coach Tillman said that was the low point of their season. It came in the game right before they went to Virginia and won handily, a win that most of the Terrapins point to as the victory that turned their season around in a positive vein. They did stumble late, a shocking loss to Colgate right before the NCAA tournament began, and that's probably the biggest reason why they were unseeded. 16 teams make the NCAA tournament. The top 8 are seeded. Maryland was not one of them. Under a minute to go in the first quarter. In fact, in the 41-year history of the NCAA Lacrosse tournament, this is the first time that none of the top 4 seeds made it to the Final Four. Stall warning now against Maryland.
That means they have to keep the ball in the attack area, so it shrinks the field. Obviously, they're holding for the last shot.
Moving pick called against Maryland. 10 seconds for Virginia. They need a shot. They get one, and it's wide from Nick O'Reilly, and that brings us to the end of the first quarter.
Sir, you cannot park there.
What? Why?
Reserved for Chris Paul. You're not Chris Paul.
Stop it, Nancy. Woo!
That's not my name.
See some ID? Marley, who took my spot?
Oh, just some guy. We're taking care of
You
it.
want the real deal? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
There's no set path, no way you have to be. So why not do what you've been dreaming of? You've got the power, we've got the tools. Make a website with GoDaddy and put what you want out there.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
Looking.
All right, Nation Paul, thank you very much, and welcome back, everybody, to the NCAA Men's College Lacrosse National Championship game presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The Nation Paul we're talking about a moment ago, Quint, the goaltenders called upon to make some terrific stops in that first quarter.
Yeah, focus is the name of the game. Eyes wide open, find the ball. As Nico told us, see the ball, see the ball, see the ball. From the moment he steps off the bus, that is the only thing on his mind. Find that ball in the shooter's pocket and explode with both the stick and the body.
Got introduced to the sport of lacrosse in the 5th grade. He said his cousin played, so he followed his cousin into it. Said he wanted to be a field player, but then he didn't like all that running. So in the 8th grade, he said, I'm going to be a goalie. At least he's honest. Brian McDermott out to take the face-off for Virginia. And Kurt Holmes won it for Maryland. First couple of face-offs, there was a violation, one against each team. John Haas. Maryland trying to set up its offense. Ryan Young behind the net.
First thing Maryland has to do every possession is gauge, are they in a man or are they in a zone, and what are the matchups if it is a man-to-man defense? I believe right now Virginia is in their zone.
Long shot by Grant Catalino. And Maryland will retain possession as Young was nearest to it as the shot went over the end line.
He's the zone buster, capable of scoring from 15 yards.
That was the term that Coach Starsia used to describe Catalino yesterday, who did not have a point in that regular season win at Virginia. And the defense continues to be outstanding for Maryland. North Carolina had only 6 goals against the Terps in the first round. Syracuse had 5 in the quarterfinals. Duke only 4 on Saturday here. Then Virginia, as you saw, held scoreless in the first quarter for the first time since late March. Jake Bernhardt. And now the race after the ball. Adam Gilliman, the goalie, gets the call. Great hustle by the senior from Cold Spring, New York.
Closest to the ball when it rolls over the line, which is right there, is awarded the ball. Gilliman sells out with a dive, which will never hurt in the eyes of the officials.
Colin Briggs, redshirt junior. He's out of Narragansett, Rhode Island. Now Nick O'Reilly. And the Cavaliers will set up their offense with Matt White. Play both attackman and midfield for Don Starsia. Lockwood sends it out in front for the first Virginia goal by Colin Briggs, who ties the game at 1.
Briggs has had a breakthrough season. Maryland's in their man-to-man offense. And because of the initial double team behind the goal, Virginia had a numbers superiority on the near side. The late slide, and Briggs beats Amato to the spot. Look at Amato fight to see that ball. He's partially screened by Farrell, 37, and Steele Stanwyck, number 6. If you can't see it, you can't save it.
25th goal of the season for Colin Briggs. If you want to watch the entire game from the Sky Cam, you can go to ESPN3.com. Great vantage point from which to watch the game. If you stay here on ESPN, you'll see plenty of shots from Sky Cam as well. Ryan McDermott and Kurt Holmes again. Violation again against Virginia. 3 faceoffs won by Maryland. Owen Bly behind the net. 18 goal scorer this year for the Terps. Maryland scored on its first shot of the game. They're 0 for 10 since. Let's go down to Eamon McEnany.
Well, Sean, the last goal was scored by Colin Briggs, and his father grew up on Long Island, played high school at the great Ward Melville program. When they moved to Rhode Island, there was no local youth league, so Mr. Briggs started it up, giving Colin an advantage over all his friends in Rhode Island, which is probably why he's the second best player to come out of the Ocean State, along with fellow Cavalier Chris Rotelli.
Chris Rotelli, the last Cavalier for Steele Stanwyck this year to be the ACC Player of the Year back in 2003.
And Briggs, some injury problem when he first got to Virginia. Finally healthy, a huge breakthrough season. One of the best junior midfielders in the country.
Stall warning now against Maryland. Ryan Young tried to sneak out in front and shot it off the pipe. Here's Chris LaPierre, who's essentially a one-man clear very often for Virginia. Great athlete, former All-State running back in New Jersey.
Talk about opportunity, Sean. Young gets in, multiple fakes. I'm not sure if that ball grazed off Gittleman and then hit the post. Clearly hit the post. But Maryland now shooting after hitting their first shot. Where they 0 for their last 11.
Matt White, sophomore from Ridgefield, Connecticut. Had the game-winning goal in overtime to beat Bucknell. Don Starsia said he walked off the field with his wife that day and said, "How did we win that game?" It looked like Bucknell had it firmly in control in the fourth quarter when they led 11-8. Bucknell led 12-10 with 4 minutes to go. But UVA rallied. Steele Stanwick tied it in the final 2 minutes, and White won it. O'Reilly sent it out in front for Colin Briggs. Coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN tomorrow and Wednesday. The division leaders from the NL West and NL Central tomorrow at 7 Eastern. It's the Giants and St. Louis, game 2 of a 4-game series. And the Giants and Cardinals meet again on Wednesday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Major League Baseball on ESPN Tuesday and Wednesday. Matt White manages to get to the front of the net. But no angle to pass or shoot. Well defended by Dan Burns. Chris Bachlet back for Rob Emery.
Maryland plays a man-to-man. They're not anxious to double team or slide. They give you a lot of fits because they're great perimeter defenders.
O'Reilly out in front for a goal for Matt White. And Virginia leads for the first time today on Matt White's 18th goal of the season.
When you're an off-ball defender and your man cuts, you'll see if you freeze it right here, I believe that's White right there. Roll it now forward. You'll see they send a bunch of guys inside in kind of a spaghetti-like offense. Briggs cuts the near post, and just there's a soft spot in the Maryland defense. Poor communication. White's wide open, presents a target, and it's pretty simple. That was strictly a communication error by Maryland. You have got to account for all the Cavalier players in that paint area.
White the goal. O'Reilly has assisted on both goals. Interesting, lately the ball doesn't seem to be in the stick of Steele Stanwick as much. It's almost as if Virginia is saying to Maryland, if you're going to pay that much attention to Stanwick, we have other guys who can make plays and score goals. Off the face-off, Virginia in control, and then a high pass in the direction of O'Reilly, and it's a turnover.
The makeover of Virginia's offense is radical. From once was a midfield-based offense where Shamel, Bratton, and Ramel, and even Briggs at that stage of the season, they would isolate, try to score for themselves, and now the ball's behind the goal 90% of the time. Their assists, their goals to assist, ratio has skyrocketed. They're sharing the ball and generating tremendous, high-quality shots from right in front.
They don't shoot as much. They're not the run-and-gun Cavaliers we're accustomed to seeing. Tom Starcher says this is not a typical Virginia team, not overwhelming talent, but he said they have practiced hard all year and probably has played to their potential as much, if not more so, than any team he's ever coached. Good movement again by Maryland. Jake Bernhardt off for John Haas, whose dad was a great player at North Carolina and is now a coach at Lebanon Valley in Pennsylvania. Ryan Young.
This zone is so condensed. Maryland is being given the 11-yard shot. Someone on the outside's got to take it to draw the defense out a bit. Look how tight the white jerseys are to the goal.
Maryland scored just over 2.5 minutes into the game to lead 1-0. They haven't scored since. They have now. John Haas right on cue makes it 2-2. Just 14 goals this season for Haas, but 5 of them have come against Virginia now.
This is not bad defense, but as I said, I just felt that the Virginia team was too condensed and that the guys on the perimeter had a shot if they wanted to it. What I like about this release, you shoot around that defender, you free up your hands. So even though he's on your hip, you get a good look at the goal. That shot hit off the post and maybe even off of Gettleman and then into the goal.
Coach Tillman describes Haas as a gritty, tough, hard worker, as you would expect, the son of a coach. Mentioned his dad was an All-American defender at North Carolina, coached at North Carolina and Johns Hopkins.
I played for his dad, John Hawes, who's one of the most intense characters great leader of young men he was. And John's the son of a coach, and there's very little gray areas. He understands the black and white.
Flag thrown against Virginia. And as Dan Burns lost the ball, the call's made.
15 white. Slash to the head. 1 minute. 1-5 white.
Garrett Ince, the face-off man for the Cavaliers, called for the slash to the head. So Maryland goes a man up.
Where's the ball? Bring it back this way, Red. Bring it back this way.
And for the first time today, John Tillman has Travis Reed, talented scorer on the field. He's been bothered by a shoulder injury. Number 2, a left-handed shooter. And he sees time in their man-up situations. That's Reed there, playing it out higher to Joe Cummings. Started to probe the defense, then moved the ball. Shot and a goal, and the lead again for Maryland. Owen Bly, the sophomore, with his 19th of the season.
Excellent diagnostic ability for Bly here, who catches this ball behind the goal, and Virginia's just a little slow to get there. And so you say, you know what, I'm going to turn the corner until pressure comes. I always can dish it to the adjacent man. Next thing you know, he's 5 yards north of the goal line with enough angle, and that shot also careened off that far post.
They score man up. They've not been a great man up team, 26% for the year. You contrast that to Virginia's national leading almost 53%. Well, the Terps capitalize.
Right, boys, middle of
It'll
the
be
heads
Ince
and
again on the draw.
Down.
With Curtis Holmes.
Set. Good. That's it, boys. That's it. That's it. That's it.
2 goals in 30 seconds for Maryland. And they control the faceoff. Jesse Bernhardt came away with it. He's the younger brother of the junior midfielder Jake. Haas unassisted, Bly unassisted. The 2 goals within 30 seconds for the Terrapins. Midway through the second quarter, they have the lead again. Scott LaRue played it back for Kevin Cooper. And now Ryan Young. And Maryland back to the deliberate style in the box. Cooper started to charge. Young, tough shot, wide. Fly in the right spot behind the net. Maryland keeps.
Maryland's initiating from the wings, and then either driving the ball top center for multiple passes or kicking it behind the goal. But the key to beating this zone is the initiation from the wings, drawing 2 white jerseys. Right here.
It's an all-ACC national championship game. Just the second time that's happened. Back in 1986, Virginia lost in overtime to North Carolina in the national championship game. Ooh, good catch of a high pass by Ryan Young. Scott LaRue found help. Room for Cooper. More room for Cooper. Oh, a timeout called by Maryland just when it looked like Cooper was about to step into a good-looking shot. In the words of Coach Dom Starsha, it has been a season filled with adversity. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The NCAA Lacrosse Championship is presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And in part by the Capital One Cup. Learn more and check the standings at CapitalOneCup.com. And Sector SPDR ETFs. Visit them on the web at sectorspiders.com.
Jim and Joanne are here to pick up the same prescription. They both know the system is not on their side. They both know drug costs are out of control. But one of them is taking back control with GoodRx.
Next.
So while he's paying that much, even with his insurance, she's paying this much just by using GoodRx. Use GoodRx to compare prices at pharmacies in your area and stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today and take back control.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now. Introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, the first ever easy-on, easy-off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. They totally exceeded my expectations.
Copper-infused fabric woven into our compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort.
They just slip right on, yet they still have that same compression that you want.
Extra support around the arch and ankle for relief of muscle aches and pains.
These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin. I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Get your energy socks now online at GetEnergySocks.com or call 1-800-381-0384. Order now and get a second pair free.
I have so much energy, I can go. Hey, you want a dad?
Copperfit Energy Socks.
I think we've experienced some things that not everyone experiences at our age.
We've had so many reasons to give up and kind of pack it and quit over the course of this season. And kids in the locker room have refused to do that.
It's been all these distractions. It's been really hard. And when you feel a little bit lost, I feel like, the players on our team really kind of came closer together.
I think it's only made us stronger. I think the guys on this team right now are just, very, dedicated to each other, and, we're in this for the right reasons.
Well, the Virginia lacrosse program has had to deal with a lot of adversity, and 14 months ago with unspeakable tragedy. You'll recall that when Dom Starch's team was here last year for the Final Four, it was shortly after a women's player at Virginia, Yardley Love, was murdered. One of the UVA men's lacrosse players, George Hughley, charged in her murder. He's still facing first-degree murder charges. The end of last year was a blur. It's a memory that will linger forever. It's a pain that they will all carry with them forever. Steele Stanwyck said the other day, time does help heal a little bit. But then again this year, the personnel issues with the Brattons, the senior captain said we need to improve and change the image of Virginia lacrosse. They put in some tough rules that led to a couple of guys getting bounced off this team this year.
Bray Malfris admitting that it was a hard and challenging year to be captain. Felt they had to change their image as a responsibility, as out of respect for Yardley Love's family. And there's been some tough times, when guys don't buy in. Changes had to be made. He described it as a Spartan experience this year at Virginia.
Dom Starch said it's been a very complicated year to be the captain, but he thinks his four captains have done it very well. Various times in the year, 4 starting players were suspended. As we mentioned at the moment, Shamel and Ramel Bratton not here. Maryland down 3-2. Excuse me, leading 3-2 as we approach 5.5 minutes left in the first half. Scott LaRue's shot, and Maryland will play it back in with Ryan Young. Here's what they lost. They lost a lot. 2 of the best midfielders in the country in the case of Shamel Bratton, one of the best in the history of college lacrosse, in the opinion of many.
They've made over the way they play offense much more a team brand, and it's hard to argue that it's been addition by subtraction. We see a renewed energy.
And a takeaway by the Virginia defense. Chris Clements with the interception, and now Nick O'Reilly, who's assisted on both Virginia goals. It'd be interesting to see if they make more of an effort to get Steele Stanwyck involved in the offense here.
No shots, very few touches. Right now, Stanwyck, 6 and white, is on the crease, so expect for him to roll off. He's directing traffic inside. You see him. A little confusion right now.
It's almost as if what Dom Starch said yesterday, that Brett Schmidt does a great job against Stanwyck, is in his head here at the start of the game. Colin Briggs circles the net and scores. Great speed by Colin Briggs, turning the corner. His second goal of the game for the Wahoos, who have tied it up at 3 apiece.
Briggs is a blazer, but he's about 90% right-handed. The mistake for Maryland's defense was not sending help. If you freeze it right here, you see the defense. You got 3 guys who could potentially help out, and none of them do. Watch this, unassisted. When you see that matchup, Briggs against Cummings, that favors Virginia. You've got to flush the ball out of Briggs' stick.
There's a look at our player portfolio brought to you by Sector Spiders. Colin Briggs, 4 hat tricks already this season, perhaps another today. He has 2 goals already. The redshirt junior from Narragansett, Rhode Island. Beautiful Ocean State out of Bishop Hendricken High School. As Eamon mentioned earlier, the son of a player, his dad Peter played. Ryan Benincasa got his first face-off of the Final Four and committed a violation for Virginia. Well, Maryland wants to work quickly. They have a 6-2 edge now in face-offs. Catalino swung it down low. Looked like Ryan Young wasn't expecting it. Gibbleman way out of the net. He is terrific out of the cage. And here's Chris LaPierre, the sophomore out of Medford, New Jersey. Whistle behind the play for a timeout called by Dom Starzia. With just under 4 minutes to go in the first half, and the national championship game tied at 3. Baltimore, Maryland, M&T Bank Stadium. Brian Farrell, Maryland senior from right here in Baltimore, trying to help lead the Terrapins lacrosse program to their first national title since 1975. His dad was a member of the team, Mike Farrell, All-American defender. They took on Navy.
That's Frank Urso from Maryland, one of the greatest midfielders ever to play.
Tied the record back then with 5 goals. Terps beat Navy 20-13, their second national title in 3 years. The tournament started in 1971, so they were a power in the early days. And there's Mike Farrell. Brian Farrell told us the other day, my dad wants us to win this title more than he wanted to win his back in the mid-70s. It's been a very busy week for Mike Farrell. He has a daughter, Annie, who's on the women's lacrosse team in Maryland. They've been playing in the Final Four up at Stony Brook on Long Island. They lost the championship game yesterday by a goal to Northwestern. So he's been going back and forth. Friday the women played, then he was here Saturday for the men's semifinals, went back to Stony Brook, and now back here today to cheer on Brian.
Certainly the golden age of Maryland lacrosse. That team coached by Buddy Beardmore. You know, Frank Urso's a Hall of Famer. Ed Mullen, terrific player. Roger Tuck and Mike Hines. Played 3 midfield lines in that game against Navy and basically just push the tempo, push the tempo, push the tempo. A little bit opposite of what we're seeing today.
Virginia's shooting has improved. They were 0 for 8 in the first quarter. They've scored on 3 out of 4 shots here in the second quarter. When they were a midfield-oriented team, when the Brattons were active, they were shooting 31%. That number has risen to close to 40% without the Brattons. 43% in the tournament. Steele Stanwyck with a rare touch in this game, and his shot clanged off the post, and went out of bounds. Coming up at halftime, a special announcement from Lowe's regarding the 2011 Senior Class Award winner. The award celebrates the loyalty of seniors who honor their 4-year commitment to the university. The Senior Class Award recognizes these student athletes for great achievement during competition and in the classroom while staying in school. That's become a great honor, not only in lacrosse, but in many other sports. Mark Cockerton. You know, Quinn, sometimes, as you well know, these Final Fours can be tough to loosen up and have a moment of levity. Cockerton inadvertently provided that for his team Friday.
Yeah.
They were coming out here to practice at M&T Bank Stadium. Coach Starsia knew that Colin Briggs wasn't going to play the next day, so Cockerton was going to take on a lot of his role. He was an important guy to have focused at practice. Mark still has the ball. He got locked in the men's room, in their locker room, because the locker rooms are shared. When the team went out of the field, they locked the door on the way out, and he got locked in the locker room. They score. Great ball movement, and it's Nick O'Reilly's already assisted on 2 goals, scoring his first of the day and 8th of the season to give Virginia the lead again.
Sean, you mentioned the shooting percentage, and it's skyrocketing. It's like a team that used to be shooting tons and tons of three-pointers, now working for slam dunks. Doesn't get any easier than that. Triangle offense starts with Stanwyck drawing 2, ball reversal, and then you jam it inside. Gorgeous offense.
Yep, Stanwyck involved this time, and then he got it to Cockerton, who fortunately found his way out of the locker room. Dom Starch said they start practice. Where's Cockerton? He looks around, and here comes Cockerton, and he's still dressed in his street clothes. But he was basically locked out of the locker room. And once he explained what happened, Dom was a bit more forgiving. I guess Cockerton's one of those characters. He's the kind of guy that would happen to. A little bit of a free spirit. Ryan Benincasa again on the faceoff, that time for UVA. They've tried 3 different players in the X against Holmes. And a timeout called by Virginia with under 2.5 minutes to go in the half. Starsia's Cavaliers leading 4-3. So it's 4-3. What are your impressions so far as we approach halftime?
Well, Dom Starsia kind of warned us. He said this likely looks like a low-scoring game, and it appears to be a game that 9-8 type finish, 8-7, 10-9. Could be both teams in single digits. Virginia's done a great job with their zone defense. I'm not sure Maryland quite feels comfortable yet attacking the zone. We've seen too many turnovers and too many weak angle shots.
It's just 1-0 Maryland at the end of the first quarter. But the offenses have picked up at both ends. Colin Briggs has been a star for Virginia. He has scored twice in this game. John Haas a tally for Maryland. The time that made it 2-2. Owen Bly gave the Terps the lead at 3-2 before Briggs got his second. And then Nick O'Reilly, after 2 assists, scored a goal.
I think
a nice feed from Cockerton.
What stands out for Maryland is no transition goals. Face-offs fairly close. There's been a ton of face-off violations today. I think they're both face-off. All the face-off specialists are a little jumpy, and the acoustics are always tough in the big stadium with a large crowd. And it looks like Dom Starsia knows that this is going to be a low-scoring game, the way he's utilized both timeouts here in the last 2 or so minutes.
And he said it might be low-scoring, but it won't be without action, and that's been the case. There's been plenty of action. He's trying to keep cool. We mentioned it's about 120 degrees on this field. 96 degrees the temperature here in Baltimore. There's a excessive heat advisory in effect for this area. Coming up on the Warrior Halftime Report, the Lowe's Senior Class Award. Paul Carcaterra will give you his analysis of the first half. In the news of the day in college athletics, Jim Tressel, after many weeks and months of controversy, is out. He resigned today as head coach of the Ohio State football program. Virginia's been very good with the ball today. Just 1 turnover. Cockerton fed it back, and a goal for Colin Briggs. Suspended by Coach Starsia, did not play on Saturday, back in the lineup today with a hat trick already. It's 5-3 Virginia. First 2-goal lead of the day for either team.
From a fundamental standpoint, this Virginia team is as textbook as it gets in terms of shooting release points. Cockerton draws 2. It's a little step-down shot by Briggs. Catch, slide step, straight over the top. You don't think fresh legs mean something today. Temperature on the field's 120. He didn't expend any energy on Saturday.
No. It almost seems fitting. We talked about the adversity that Virginia has dealt with. I guess it follows the script that a guy who was suspended on Saturday would be at the forefront in the very next game.
If you had told me early in the year that Virginia would win a semifinal game without Shamel Bratton, Ramel Bratton, and Colin Briggs, I would have said you're crazy.
And Matt Lovejoy.
And Matt Lovejoy.
Right off the face-off, the charge to the goal by Landon Carr, denied by Gittleman. And time for the counter for UVA. Ray Malfris, senior captain in his last game, lets one fly. Amato got a stick on it. Maryland ball, a minute and a half to go. Malfris, one of those senior captains who helped lay down the rules. Ultimately, the discipline lies in the hands of Coach Starship, but it's been with a lot of input from his captains. Malfris, very intense, sent out some emails in the middle of the year that, according to some of his teammates, actually even scared them a little bit. And John Haldy, his roommate and fellow captain, told us yesterday a lot of the guys on the team are afraid of Ray Malfris.
He's supercharged, basically. One of the most intense dudes I've ever met, ever covering lacrosse. He wants to enlist in the Army and get himself involved in special operations.
His dad, Steve, is an Army veteran. Michael Shakespeare on the field for Maryland. Hasn't seen a lot of playing time in his Final Four. He's number 10. Drew Snyder gave it to John Hoff. Had a strong first half for the Terps. Under a minute to go now in the half.
Maryland's sitting on one timeout. They got to figure a way to get inside against this zone.
Here's the stall warning. Second against Maryland. Make that the third. Catalino, double team, sweeps it away, charges toward the goal. He's on the ground, and the shot goes wide by Young. Looked like he had a great shooting lane and missed the net. Blake Riley working the clear for Virginia. Now steals Stanwick. 10 seconds to go. Matched up once again with Brett Schmidt. Schmidt shoved him behind the cage. High pass does not connect. That'll get us to halftime.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. Snap on the guide to perfectly shape your full beard and keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. Snap it off and remove unwanted hair anywhere. Full body control with one tool. Call 1-800-318-9242. Or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. The all-new MicroTouch Solo full-body groomer. The one tool that does it all.
We're at halftime here at the NCAA Lacrosse National Championship game. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage after these messages.
There's no set path, no way you have to be. So why not do what you've been dreaming of? You've got the power. We've got the tools. Make a website with GoDaddy and put what you want out there.
Support your favorite college at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. Shop the most trusted brands and exclusive designs by Fanatics. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
My son needs this drug. I hope it doesn't cost too much. I hope my insurance pays for it. Can you tell me how much this will be?
67.
Sorry. Wait, have you...
Here's a look at the Home Depot storyline. Virginia with the 2-goal lead. It's the only 2-goal lead for either team. Briggs the hat trick. O'Reilly and White the other goals for Virginia. For Maryland, Catalino, then Haas and Bly as the Terps look for their first national title since 1975. And their players talk about how they are doing this not only for themselves today, but trying to do it for all the players at Maryland who fought hard over the last 35 years without winning a national championship. Good start to the second half for Maryland as Curtis Holmes won yet another face-off. Sean McDonough, Quint Kesnick, and Eamon McEnany, who undoubtedly is not very cool down on that field surface at the moment. Temperature here in the mid-90s. It's 120 on the field turf in the home of the Baltimore Ravens. And among those in the house today, the terrific coach of the Ravens, John Harbaugh, and his coaching staff. Haas sent it up high. Drew Snyder, son of a former Virginia star player. Now Ryan Young out in front. Loose ball scooped up beautifully by Chris Clements. And then taken back by Snyder out of Seattle, Washington. Haas again, who had a man all alone. It was Ryan Young out in front of the net, but didn't get it to him. Long shot by Snyder, blocked.
Maryland's got to start making this more of a street fight. And they've got to, I'm not sure why Grant Catalino, their best outside shooter, is playing on the crease inside. To me, he's a feared wing shooter. He can stretch the zone, and that'll open it up for other capable finishers from the inside.
Maryland looking for that first title since '75. They've had some chances. They've lost their last 5 trips in the national championship game. Long shot by Drew Snyder.
Love the look.
Ball given to Virginia.
Totally
the Terrapins don't like the call.
Absolutely. You have the football yardage here. Well, let's see. Yeah, I agree, actually, with that angle. Ball went out closer to the midfield line than I thought, and it was Steele Stanwyck.
Let's go down to the field. Here's Eamon.
Well, Sean, talked to Coach John Tillman on his way out of the locker room. He said what bothered him about giving up those last 2 goals of the half was that they were slow to get out on the ball due to poor communication. And then, like Quint said, turning it into more of a street fight. He said we have to get better off the ground if we're going to come back and win this game. Sean.
Thank you, Eamon. John Tillman's done a terrific job. Walked into a lot of talent. He inherited a team that was expected to be very good. Inherited 17 seniors, but that was also part of the problem early on. The veteran team that was very accustomed to doing things in a certain way. And he brought a number of changes with him from Harvard, where he was the head coach for 3 years. Spent 12 years as Navy as an assistant. And at the beginning, there was some resistance. As the season went along, it looked like players and coaches all got on the same page. That's certainly been true lately. Colin Briggs with his 4th goal of the game for Virginia.
Briggs has got jets. A great north-south downhill dodger. You'll see 37 in red is Brian Farrell. funnels him to a weak angle, and Nico Amato, the young goaltender, kind of locks up. And watching cut-ups of Amato this year, I thought he struggled the most against those right-handed alley dodges where players shot the ball high. Go back to the quarterfinal game. It was Jovan Miller of Syracuse with a similar shot. Tends to lock up and almost cheat as if he thinks Briggs is going to shoot that one low.
Second 4-goal game of the season for Colin Briggs. He had 4 against Duke. There it is. Curtis Holmes, the faceoff. Scooped up by Chris LaPierre, who's great off the wings. 4 straight goals for Virginia. Briggs has scored 3 of those 4. He has 4 in all. Matt White in possession of the ball now for Virginia. Here's Mark Cockerton. His dad, Stan, was a tremendous player at NC State. Back in the 1970s, scored 193 goals and was a 3-time first-team All-American. A star on the Canadian national team. Scored a goal that Tom Starsia remembers in 1978 World Championships. Game-winning goal for Canada against the United States. Tom a part of that team for Team USA. Ground ball scooped up by the Terrapins' Michael Shakespeare. We're 4 minutes into the second half in this NCAA Men's Lacrosse National Championship game from Baltimore. Sean McDonough, Quint Kesnick, Eamon McEnany down on the field. Delighted to have you with us. Virginia leading Maryland 6-3 in the rematch of a regular season conference game in the ACC, won by Maryland at Virginia in convincing fashion on April 2nd. 12-7 was the final in favor of the Terps. They've had a tough time scoring against this revamped Virginia defense. Grant Catalino couldn't find shooting room. Young was pestered behind the net by Scott McWilliams, who's a very solid freshman defender, number 27 for Virginia.
Okay, this is a stage in the game where Maryland is going to have to kind of readdress their entire strategy. If they can't score against the zone, you're going to have to score in transition, which means you're going to have to turn up the heat on defense.
Good passing there. Travis Reed had a shot. Really only seen him this weekend in man-up situations, but he's a good scorer, and down by 3. He's out there with the teams at even strength. Joe Cummings' shot was stopped by Adam Gittleman, his 6th save.
Too easy. Severe angle. Bratton Gittleman's stick.
Gittleman decided he wanted to be a Cavalier when he came to this stadium in 2003 to watch Virginia beat Syracuse in the championship game. Tillman Johnson was the Virginia goalie. He was terrific. And Adam Gittleman decided one day he wanted to be in the same spot that Johnson was in. Rob Emery, a long try for Virginia. Chased down by Briggs out near midfield. 6 saves apiece now.
Virginia's going to play slow with a 3-goal lead. Still attack.
Steele Stanwyck. Right out in front. Call for a crease violation. Trying to get by Brett Schmidt. That's been a great one-on-one battle again today. Yesterday we talked to Brett Schmidt. He said Steele Stanwyck is definitely the smartest player in the country.
Left side of your screen, you see the hardest call in lacrosse for these officials. Is it a push? Is it a dive?
Just the second Virginia turnover. So now it's Maryland down by 3. Flag flies.
Chris LaPierre pushing Travis Reed into the crease.
Technical foul, 44 white. Interference, 30 seconds. 4-4 white, interference, 30.
Maryland has scored an extra man goal today by Owen Bly. They're 1 for 1.
Left side of your screen. See LaPierre just kind of touches him. It wasn't a violent shove, but a smart play by Travis Reed, 2 in red.
Travis Reed, his dad Jake played on the national championship team back in the mid-70s.
This is a huge extra man opportunity.
They're running out of time with the extra man as they work the perimeter. Shot by Reed went wide. Now a follow-up shot by Jake Bernhardt. Turned aside. It'll be Maryland's ball. Virginia back at full strength. And we're nearly midway through the third quarter. They've gone more than a quarter now, the Terrapins, without scoring. And they have not had to play from behind very often in this NCAA tournament. We're ahead for much of the game in their opening round win in North Carolina, 113-6. They were ahead for a lot of the overtime win against Syracuse. It was Syracuse that had to rally from 2 goals down late to tie Maryland in forced overtime, and then they were in command virtually throughout here Saturday in the semis against Duke, 1-9-4.
Maryland changing things up, starting in a 5-man perimeter.
Reed close to the crease. Played it off for Owen Bly. Catalino scores! Well, as you suggested, they moved him away from the top of the crease. And he took advantage of that good shot to get the Terps back within 2 of Stars' Cavaliers.
And that goal gets some energy back in this building. A potential home field advantage for Maryland. All day we've seen Catalino in front of the goal where his outside velocity and his power is wasted. We should be seeing a steady diet of that. 10, 12, and 15-yard rips by big number 1, who is a serious zone buster. And what that'll do now is that'll soften this zone defense. And the guys inside will then become open. Catalino has delivered in this NCAA tournament.
His second goal today, 31st of the year. Playing in his final game in Maryland. He's from Webster, New York, near Rochester. Ball hit one of the officials off the faceoff. Maryland still controlled it. Maryland had gone 15 minutes, 46 seconds without scoring. Trying to get within 1. Jake Bernhardt played it off. Now John Haas will set up the offense. Catalino tried a quick shot, didn't get a lot on it, kept it alive for Young with Scott McWilliams pestering him. 6.5 minutes to go, third quarter. It's Catalino who scored the game-winning goal in overtime against Syracuse a week ago yesterday in Foxborough, Massachusetts. He had an 8.5-hour bus ride back to campus to savor that moment. He's trying again from the top of the crease, denied by Gilliman, and the ball scooped up by Harry Previs, sophomore out of Towson, Maryland. The reason they bust, they could have flown Quint up from Baltimore to Boston for the semifinals last weekend, or quarterfinals, but Coach Tillman wanted to take all 60 guys on the team. You can only dress 32, but he felt like all the players deserved to be there. They were only going to be able to fly the 32 players who were going to dress, so they decided to take the bus.
It's been part of their underdog kind of character they've created for themselves.
Max Schmidt forced the turnover. Here come the Terrapins again with a little more life in their step. You sense momentum has shifted to their side with the goal by Catalino, and the crowd's trying to help keep that momentum going. Scott LaRue on now for Maryland. Ryan Young had a quiet weekend. Both the Duke and Virginia defense have done a very good job on Maryland's playmaker Ryan Young. Both of our Warrior Impact players have been held in check by these two talented defenses. And the Terps turn it over for the 7th time. It's interesting to talk to John Tillman the other day. He said there are 3 legends of college lacrosse and coaching here, and then there's me. Bill Tierney, John Danowski, Dom Starsh have all won national championships. They've all won at least 299 games. But John Tillman has proven he belongs alongside some of the greats. Adam Gittleman, the goalie, all the way at the other end of the field. And Dom Starsh is starting to get a little bit uncomfortable with that.
Well, we'll see if that comes back to haunt Virginia. They'll need a timeout later, 120 degrees down on the field, and you burn one to save a possession late in the 3rd quarter. Mark that down, we'll see. Later, Coach Starsh may want to say, I'm out of timeouts, where'd it go?
Well, he had to do that, don't you think, with Gittleman where he was on the field?
to save a possession,
Well, goals have been hard to come by, unless you're Colin Briggs of Virginia or Grant Catalino of Maryland. Catalino has 2, Briggs a hat trick. It's a 2-goal lead for Virginia.
The NCAA Lacrosse Championship is presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And in part by Sector SPDR ETFs. Visit them on the web at sectorspiders.com. And the Capital One Cup. Learn more and check the standings at CapitalOneCup.com.
Sports will be back. But for now, we're all rooting for a different kind of hero.
Let's embody the best parts of sports.
Teamwork, sacrifice, resilience, one goal, together.
I want my team and players to look at me and see a strong woman leader. We don't have enough female role models. We don't have enough women in power. Somebody's got to pick up the mantle. I'm happy to be the spark.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now, introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, the first ever easy-on, easy-off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. They totally exceeded my expectations.
Copper-infused fabric woven into our compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort.
They just slip right on, yet they still have that same compression that you want.
Extra support around the arch and ankle for relief of muscle aches and pains.
These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin. I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Get your energy socks now online at getenergysocks.com or call 1-800-381-0384. Order now and get a second pair free.
I have so much energy, I can go. Hey, you want a dad?
Copperfit Energy Socks.
You are watching the NCAA Lacrosse National Championship game. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage after these messages.
Hi, Linda. Looks like you've got a prescription to fill. Any idea how much that's going to cost in there? The exact same drug that's $10 at this pharmacy is $150 at this one. GoodRx finds prices and discount coupons on every prescription. Just input the drug name and instantly find savings at virtually every pharmacy in America.
Next. What can I do for you? Here's my prescription, and I have a coupon from GoodRx. Nice price.
Stop paying too much for your prescriptions with GoodRx.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll, whether for yourself or someone you love. Call the number on the screen now. Call now.
With 15 minutes left in regulation time in this national championship game, here's a look at the Home Depot storyline. The offensive star of the day, Colin Briggs, suspended and did not play in their semifinal win Saturday against Denver, has returned with 4 goals today, tying his career high. The Maryland Terrapins trying to win that elusive national championship. And let's head down to the field, Eamon.
Well, Sean, it should be interesting to see if the heat plays a factor in the final 15 minutes here of regulation. It's well over 100 degrees down on the field, but you have to give both training staffs plenty of credit. They're jumping out on during these timeouts and icing these guys down, getting the tackles and the hot water all over them. Very hydrated. Haven't seen anyone pull up with the cramps just yet, but it should be interesting to see if it plays a role in the fourth quarter, Sean.
We're glad to see you're not cramping up either. I don't think Eamon's gone very far from that fan all day.
Code red warning in Baltimore today issued by the mayor because of the heat and excessive humidity. I went for a jog just to test it out.
Oh, you're crazy.
And kind of cut it off, let's say, at the halfway point.
I would think so. Cut it off on your way out of the hotel. Grant Catalino, huge man-up situation here for Maryland. 1 for 2 with the man up today. They lost possession of the ball and scooped up by Bray Malfris. And now Harry Priebus. He became the starter when Matt Lovejoy went down with shoulder surgery at mid-season. Tom Starsia said they lost their quarterback of their defense, and it was a young and inexperienced group to begin with Lovejoy. But this remade defense has been terrific, particularly when they went to the zone at mid-season. Tom Starsia says it pains me to watch us play zone. He hates the idea of it. He's prided himself on the years of being a man-to-man defensive coach. They played more zone this year than they have in his other 18 years combined, but it's worked.
Out of necessity. Remember when they showed it for the first time on ESPNU against North Carolina? I'm up in the booth kind of shaking my head like this is hard to believe that a team with a legacy of great cover defenders, aggressive checkers, that loves to play up tempo is kind of packing it in the zone.
Now Virginia killing time. Great opportunity squandered by Maryland to open the quarter with a man up. John Haldy, double team, breaks free from that. And now Nick O'Reilly will set it back up to Briggs, using his great speed again. Behind the net for Steele Stanwick. And the pass was not handled. Battle along
nice
the midfield line. Won by Maryland. And now it's scooped up by Ryan Young. Both teams substitute. Trying to catch Virginia off guard. Flag down. Is it a goal? Yes, say the officials. Brian Farrell. With 15 minutes left in regulation time in this national championship game, here's a look at the Home Depot storyline. The offensive star of the day, Colin Briggs, suspended and did not play in their semifinal win Saturday against Denver, has returned with 4 goals today, tying his career high. The Maryland Terrapins trying to win that elusive national championship. And let's head down to the field, Eamon.
Well, Sean, it should be interesting to see if the heat plays a factor in the final 15 minutes here of regulation. It's well over 100 degrees down on the field, but you have to give both training staffs plenty of credit. They're jumping out on during these timeouts and icing these guys down, getting the tackles and the hot water all over them. Very hydrated. Haven't seen anyone pull up with the cramps just yet, but it should be interesting to see if it plays a role in the fourth quarter, Sean.
We're glad to see you're not cramping up either. I don't think Eamon's gone very far from that fan all day.
Code red warning in Baltimore today issued by the mayor because of the heat and excessive humidity. I went for a jog just to test it out.
Oh, you're crazy.
And kind of cut it off, let's say, at the halfway point.
I would think so. Cut it off on your way out of the hotel. Grant Catalino, huge man-up situation here for Maryland. 1 for 2 with the man up today. They lost possession of the ball and scooped up by Bray Malfris. And now Harry Priebus. He became the starter when Matt Lovejoy went down with shoulder surgery at midseason. As Tom Starsia said, they lost their quarterback of their defense, and it was a young and inexperienced group to begin with Lovejoy. But this remade defense has been terrific, particularly when they went to the zone at midseason. Tom Starsia says, it pains me to watch us play zone. He hates the idea of it. He's prided himself on the years of being a man-to-man defensive coach. They've played more zone this year than they have in his other 18 years combined, but it's worked.
Out of necessity. Remember when they showed it for the first time on ESPNU against North Carolina? I'm up in the booth kind of shaking my head like this is hard to believe that a team with a legacy of great cover defenders, aggressive checkers, that loves to play up tempo is kind of packing it in the zone.
Now Virginia killing time. Great opportunity squandered by Maryland to open the quarter with a man up. John Haldy, double team, breaks free from that. And now Nick O'Reilly will set it back up to Briggs, using his great speed again. Behind the net for Steele Stanwick. And the pass was not handled. Battle along
nice
the midfield line. Won by Maryland. And now it's scooped up by Ryan Young. Both teams substitute. Trying to catch Virginia off guard. Flag down. Is it a goal? Yes, say the officials. Brian Farrell. The senior defender from Baltimore, by far the highest scoring defender in Maryland history. That's his 29th career goal and his 8th of the season for his proud dad, a member of both of Maryland's national championship teams back in the mid-70s.
Off the restart, it's Ryan Young who realizes that the Terps have a number advantage. It's a 3-on-2 fast break. Bly picks up the assist. Farrell runs the field. The flag was for a push. He was absolutely freight trained from behind. But that play, because Ryan Young got the ball off the offsides, it was a quick restart, and he saw the numerical advantage.
Straight up and down in the middle.
The Maryland crowd fully engaged again. Brian Farrell playing in his final game.
Procedure what?
Captain for the second straight year. Violation called against Ryan Benincasa of Virginia. 10-4, the edge and faceoffs now for Maryland. Can they get the game tire? Catalino.
A lot of violations on the faceoffs today, Sean, all day. You hate to see that. You know, I know the officials are working with those athletes, communicating. They're just not getting the message, and guys are jumping early.
Another point of emphasis this year, they don't want players rolling into the faceoffs. We asked Kurt Holmes yesterday, why are you such a good faceoff? And he said, because I don't cheat. Former outstanding high school wrestler as well. Ryan Young. Up high to Catalino. His pass is blocked and taken away. Great work by Chris Clements, who was a reluctant long pole early in the year. They handed him that pole in January. He wasn't sure he wanted to do it, but it's worked out well. And now a half-hearted pass attempt by Briggs, taken away by Maryland. Michael Shakespeare off to Catalino. Down low it goes to Young. He scores! And Maryland has tied it up with 11:43 to go.
Turnover in the middle of the field, ball on the deck. Look at the red jerseys. This is what we saw on Saturday. Shakespeare, contested ground ball, moved on to Catalino. What I love about this is Catalino draws two. There is not a numbers advantage there. He makes this a numbers advantage by using his size and leaning in. And then Young takes that extra step to greatness, improves his angle, and beats Gittleman.
Great time for Ryan Young to score his first goal of this championship weekend. He's had a very quiet weekend in terms of points. His first point of the day, 20th goal of the year.
If you Dom Starsia, you're thinking you used the timeout to bail out Adam Gittleman in that third quarter. You're down to one timeout. You can't take one right now, as Maryland maybe's going on a big run here.
Fourth time the game's been tied. Maryland has scored 3 unanswered goals. They were down 6-3 early in the third quarter. They led early. 1-0, led 3-2. Garrett Ince won the draw for the University of Virginia. Will they have the answer to this 3-goal run by Maryland? Chris LaPierre. John Haldy. Vince, the face-off man, is going to go off after doing his job against one of the best face-off men in the country, Maryland's Kurt Holmes. 11 minutes to go. National title on the line. Long pass by Stanwyck back to Matt White. You wonder how much these players have left in the tank on this brutally hot day. Second game in 3 days, which is a rarity in college lacrosse. Haldy lost the ball. Virginia got it back.
10-minute mark. This is when every sprint, every weight training session, and eating the right things and getting the right rest all along the course of the season pays off.
Stanwyck, little stutter step behind the cage, stepped out in front but couldn't get away from his longtime companion, Brett Schmidt.
Schmidt, good feet, great stance, sitting down low, playing his angles.
Emery. Back to O'Reilly. Out in front and they score! Matt White set up beautifully by O'Reilly, who assisted on 3 goals today now. Virginia back on top with 10 minutes to go. Second goal of the game for Matt White. 19th of the season. He's had a big weekend, had a goal and 2 helpers against Denver.
Gorgeous little 2-man play. If you freeze it right here, you see that Maryland double teams with this man. Someone down the backside has got to slough in and help, and it's too easy a 2-man play. When the Maryland defender steps to the ball carrier, they got to get the rotation down the backside. See White all along at the back post? That is a communication goal defensively. If we double, who's got the second slide, who's rotating down the backside.
And you can see the frustration in Ryder Bolander, number 34 of Maryland, as that ball went in the net. He knew there was a breakdown defensively, and that's been a rarity for Maryland in this NCAA tournament. Matter of fact, the 7 goals scored by Virginia today, the most Maryland has allowed in their 4 games in this NCAA tournament. Ince controlled it again, back for LaPierre. 2 straight face-off wins by Garrett Ince, the senior from Oakville, Ontario, coming through for Virginia in the crunch. We're at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, home of the Baltimore Ravens for the 5th time hosting college lacrosse's championship weekend. Sean McDonough, Quint Kesenick, Eamon McEnany. Delighted to have you with us. Virginia trying to win its 5th national championship, its 4th since 1999 under Dom Starsia, while Maryland in its 10th title game trying to win the 3rd national title in school history and the 1st in 36 years.
Dusting off the tradition starts with defense right now.
What these Maryland players pride themselves on most, defense and toughness. Played a very physical game Saturday night against Duke. Tough pass gathered in by Briggs, who sent it behind the net And Mark Cockerton has it now. Matt Kugler getting more time. Stall warning in effect. Under 8.5 minutes to go. Third keep it in situation of the day for Virginia with a 1-goal lead. Cockerton out in front. Intended for Briggs. And a whistle just as O'Reilly was scooping it up. Crease violation. Maryland trying to go quickly in transition. Scott LaRue down low. Catalino thought about letting one fly and thought better of it with 8 minutes to go. Owen Bly behind the net for Ryan Young. And now LaRue brings it out toward midfield to set up the offense. Catalino cutting to the middle. He missed it. Bly almost had a shot at the top of the crease. It wound up with Adam Gilliman.
Deflected by the Virginia's own defense, packing it in tight, blocking shots, getting their sticks in the passing lane. They've been terrific.
Blake Riley, the clear sophomore from South Hamilton, Massachusetts, has excellent speed. Tom Starcher mentioned the other day he can be a one-man clear, and he's done that several times this weekend. Under 7 minutes to go in this national championship game. Virginia the ball in a 1-goal lead. Matt White scored the game-winning goal in overtime in their first-round win over Bucknell when it looked like they were about to be eliminated. He has the go-ahead goal again here today. And here he comes toward the front of the goal mouth. Shut off. Here's the stall warning. Shot wide. Good opportunity for O'Reilly. Sophomore from Rockville Center, New York. He wasn't even playing very much. He didn't play at all against Cornell. Tom Starcher, his coaches, got together and said, you know, O'Reilly's pretty good. We need to play him more. And he's been a key in their wins over Cornell, Duke, and again, Denver, and again today against Maryland. And Burns watching Rob Emery. Stall warning remains in effect.
Can you play 6 minutes of keep away?
Looks like they might try. Maryland fans don't like it. Stanwyck set a pick and then got the ball. And they roll into a shot and a goal by Matt White. Second in a row for White. He has a hat trick today. And the Terrapins down by 2 with 5.5 minutes remaining.
This has been the signature play for Virginia in the postseason. Stanwyck controls, and look at, oh, what a great play. Virginia sends all sorts of cutters to that left post, and behind it is left one man, and it's White. Catches this well-placed feed. He's able to swivel his hips and yank that ball and just paints the corner.
The assist to Stanwyck, his first point of the game. Maryland again today has done a great job against Steele Stanwyck. But Virginia has a 2-goal lead with 5.5 to go without much point production from their star.
The 3 men cutting just sucked the defense down low, and White had all sorts of real estate. This is when Maryland's going to have to press out defensively.
These Virginia seniors have not won a national championship. This is their 4th straight trip to the Final Four. They had not advanced past the semifinal round until this year. John Haldy in possession of the ball for Virginia. As we tick down to 5 minutes remaining in this national championship game. Stall warning very quickly this time against Virginia. Last possession, they seem to lull the Terrapins to sleep and then score.
Tell you, defensively, the time to go is now. You've got to flush this matchup. Got to send a double team. The adjacent men have to stretch out.
And here they come with a little more pressure on Haldy. The handoff to Stanwyck. Now Nick O'Reilly, who has 3 assists to go with a goal today. The young man who didn't even play against Bucknell in their first NCAA tournament game. 4:20 to go. Chris Bocklett killing time. He's their leading goal scorer, and he's had a quiet day. Rob Emery with 4 minutes to go. They come after Emery with 2 poles. Great job to keep possession of the ball. And I believe Virginia called a timeout as Dom Starsia sensed that Emery was in trouble. Mac Schmidt and Jesse Bernhardt right up there on Rob Emery. It was a 6-6 tie with just more than 10 minutes to go after Ryan Young scored for Maryland, but Matt White has scored twice, and Virginia leads 8-6.
The ancient Greeks had 4 words for love. The most admirable is called agape, love as an action. For 175 years, New York Life has been helping people act on their love, so they can look back or look ahead and say, we got it right. We did good.
Coverage after these messages.
Yo, Dad. You're not my dad.
I'm not your dad. Of course I'm your dad, son. If I wasn't your dad, would I be able to do this? Uh-oh.
Not my car. You want... Wrong one.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Need a goal. They have one of the best face-off men in the country. Would try to get the ball back for them with another possession with an eye toward an equalizer. A lot to do, but the Terps are certainly capable of it. Can they get it done against this revamped Virginia defense that's been outstanding in this NCAA tournament? .220 to go. They are being patient, but the pass did not connect, intended for Cummings. Raced out by Chris Clements, the redshirt junior from right here in Baltimore. Now they can start to sense it on the Virginia sideline. Chris LaPierre. They need to blitz him. He got rid of it to O'Reilly. And Virginia will just try to play keep away here. Minute 50 to go. Great chance and a goal! Colin Briggs with his 5th of the game. That should put it away for Virginia.
So difficult to chase on Monday, Memorial Day, playing 2 games in the span of about 48 hours. It's 100 degrees on the field. Virginia, stick work, passing, unselfish, and precision offense late this season has been tremendous. The easiest effort of the day, but a fitting exclamation point for Briggs.
Career high 5 goals for Briggs. O'Reilly, who didn't even play in their opening round win against Bucknell, has 4 assists today and a goal. We talk about all the unlikely things that has happened for Virginia to get here, and now they're a minute 50 away from a national championship. And how unlikely is what has happened today? Stanwyck has 1 point in assist. Bocklet, their leading goal scorer, one of the leading goal scorers in the country, who has scored a goal in 35 straight games, doesn't have a point today. They're their top 2 point scorers. With Virginia, it's all about role players this year doing their thing, and they're doing it again today.
There was a point in the season where you could see all of a sudden guys were getting playing time who hadn't got touches. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm a good player. That's right, I got recruited to play at Virginia. I know I've been on the bench for most of the year, but I'm a high school All-American.
Maryland in a desperate situation turns it over again. Scott McWilliams has been so solid. And we should commend these great defenders of Virginia who don't get their name called a lot because they don't handle the ball. Guys like Scott McWilliams and Braden Malthus, Harry Priebus, Blake Riley, Wyatt Meltzer, Bobby Hill. Chris Clements has had a huge day today. 1 minute away is Virginia from the school's 5th lacrosse national championship. Maryland, Catalino working so hard to get a shot off. Farrell couldn't handle the pass. Ooh, Virginia had a great chance at possession.
First mistake Steele Stanwyck's made in a month.
I think they'll cut him some slack. Yeah, we asked Dom Starsia yesterday if you were to win this one, given how unexpected it would be, the wild ride as he described it they've had this year, the enormous tragedy that will linger forever of 14 months ago, the death of Yarley Love. Would this mean more? And he said, if I've learned anything in these last 14 months, it's not to look ahead and to appreciate day-to-day experiences. As Steele Stanwyck said, they've been through more than most young men should have to endure, but they're going to endure it with a national title and their careers for the seniors. Jake Bernhardt the goal, but is certainly too little too late for Maryland. That makes it 9-7.
It is physically possible for Maryland to tie this up in 16 seconds. Goal, face-off men can score 5 or 6 seconds. As Hawes picks up the assist, nice little jump shot from Bernhardt, Orlando, Florida. So Maryland will try to push this ball forward. You'll see Virginia take an extremely defensive posture on the wings. They may even concede this ball and just drop in and play defense. Virginia will. Take away transition, you get the win.
Ince and Holmes in the X.
Holding that way.
Ince call for a hold. Here comes Maryland. It is possible, but they need a goal immediately. Joe Cummings, tough shot. Out of bounds. Whose ball is it? It'll be Maryland's, but with only 4 seconds to go now. There is a flag down on the far side of the field.
Post whistle violation. Post whistle violation.
They pick up the flag. 4 seconds to go. Virginia has won the national championship for 2011. 9-7 is the final. It's the 5th national title for the University of Virginia, the 4th under Dom Starship. What a job he has done with this team. Here's Eamon McEnany.
Coach, they beat you pretty well in your place, at your place earlier this year. They had the home field advantage here today. What was the difference for Virginia?
Well, we just, about the middle of the season or so, we dug down and found a little gear that I don't think we all knew that we had. I think we're a completely different team now than we were 6 or 7 weeks ago. This is a terrific bunch of guys that have been working really hard, and we're getting knocked around pretty good in the middle of the season, but never sort of gave up hope. And here we are. Who would have thought it, Eamon?
How about yourself? You told us after the Bucknell game, you're like, how'd we win that game? You said you didn't expect to beat Cornell or Denver. How surprised are even you that you're national champions again?
I'm probably as surprised as Frank Federaca may be chagrined, thinking standing there with that Bucknell team almost had us beat in the first round. I haven't had a chance to absorb all of this, but this is certainly a very, very special moment. This is a team that I would have been really proud of, even if we had not won this game. But the fact that we were able to come back, that they tied it, and we came back and won it, sort of epitomized the whole season for us.
Along those lines, when you walked off this field after the semis a year ago, you said the score was almost meaningless. How significant is the final score here today for you and the University of Virginia?
Well, these kind of moments are so precious, and you never know if you're going to get back. And for us to be out here today and to win this game and to win a championship like this, Eamon, people that go through this understand how hard it is to win, and when you get here to this day, this morning, I'm thinking to myself, it reminds me of how hard it is to win, all the guys that are trying to get here to do this, the fact that we're able to get it accomplished obviously means a great deal.
Last week, you became the all-time winningest coach. You just won your 4th national championship. What does the future hold for Dom Starship?
Right now, I'm going to go try to find my family and thank them for allowing me to do this after all these years. And, appreciate this with a really nice group of young men.
Thanks, Coach. Go celebrate. Sean?
He's very proud of those young men. As Steele Stanwyck said, over the last 14 months, they've endured more than most young people their age have ever had to endure. And 14 months after the enormous tragedy, here's a national championship.
To me, it's an amazing life lesson almost in the power of team, where on paper, maybe not the same Virginia roster, but you had
Yeah, we believe it not because of the financial element, but because we believe Mike Tomlin, like many other coaches in the NFL, probably doesn't think all of those hits were dirty. He has said in the past, right, that the league has tried to legislate violence out of the sport. A lot of coaches feel the same way, and I wouldn't be surprised, even if money wasn't handed over, if he didn't go up to James Harrison and say, good job.
Wait, I love the idea now of there actually not being money in the envelope. And Mike Tomlin went to CVS and bought James Harrison a greeting card.
A birthday
and wrote
card,
in it,
a Hallmark card.
Thank you for traumatically injuring him. Love Mike.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly right.
There's just an aisle when you go to Dwayne Reed under the greeting card. It's like Mother's Day, anniversary, birth.
The part
CTE.
that he left out is Mike Tomlin also gave him a balloon. He gave him a card and a balloon.
Coming up next on my son Stevie's show.
Eating bad